Welcome to the partay of the road to a milli. Um, yeah, we're getting closer. We're getting closer. The the closer it gets, the worse it feels. It's like every day it feels like it's falling apart. What do you think, Katie? You think it's falling apart, or is that just it's just a perception?
Well, this is actually a great question for Elia because she's I don't actually get as disheveled when Humpty Dumpty falls off the wall anymore because I have faith that we can put it back together again.
Yeah.
And I think the more times that Humpty falls, the better I get at putting him back together. But from your perspective, Logan, you haven't had to put Humpty Dumpty back together personally.
Yeah.
Just you've overseen Humpty getting put back together. So I think that another great person to ask would be Elia.
I see Humpty Dumpty getting put together in other people's businesses for sure. It is not uncommon in this business for the schedule to fall apart. And that could be clients falling off, um, or it could be cleaners calling off, or it could be cleaners just quitting, just moving on. And yeah, I think that's so the pro to this business is that you can build a $1 million business that profits $200,000 a year, and your investment into that business can be $1,000 in your time. The con to this business is that um, this whole business is based on people. So are your the skill set in which to manage people is what's going to determine, number one, if you can get to success. You define success in your own way. I'm just going to define success as $1 million business. And step number two is to stay successful, which means that you have $1 million business every year, not just one year. And the ability to be able to manage people and lead people is, yeah, that is the skill. That is the skill that's required in this business in order for you to, number one, get there, but then most importantly, to be able to stay there. Right. And so, yeah, seeing, even from the very first time this that I saw this happen is when we had six cleaners, and we took a trip down to Utah to a personal development retreat. And Kitty, you had bought the tickets, and we had bought the Airbnb, and blocked all the cleaner schedules off. And then the week before that, we were getting ready to go down there. One cleaner was like, "Hey, I actually can't make it," and then a second cleaner said, "I can't make it," and then three, and then eventually four cleaners said they couldn't make it. So then we just took two cleaners down there and did the did the conference. And then on the way on the trip back home on Sunday, Kitty got the text saying that they all quit. And so at that point, we went from six cleaners down to two cleaners. And I remember that was the first time that we had we were sitting at we were sitting at our diner, or at our kitchen table. And I remember you looking across from me, Katie, and just being like, "I'm done. I'm quit. Like I do not want to do this business anymore." And at the time, we still had the gym business. We still had the Airbnbs. We still had the real estate thing. So it wasn't like it would have been easy to quit, because at that point the business, I don't know what the business was at, like 20-ish thousand, maybe 20, 30,000.
Yeah, I think 30.
Yeah. So it wouldn't have been hard to quit, in a sense of like, we weren't necessarily doing it for the money. But it was it was just the mentality of like, we just can't quit when it gets hard. And that was like what my initial like response was, but I didn't know how to say it in a way that um I could it would I could sell you on it. And so I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything in that moment. I just thought about it for a couple of days, and I was like, okay, then let's let's figure out how we can quit this business um in a way that in a way that we can confidently say we quit. And so the only idea I could figure out how to do that was let's just build this thing to sell it. And so then I started. Then I had a friend who actually was a business broker and called him up and asked him some questions and trying to figure out what a business needed to look like in order for it to sell. And so then I had the idea of like, okay, this is actually what we're going to do, Katie. We're going to build this business to sell it, and then we can get you out of here, and we can get rid of this freaking stupid thing. And Katie's okay, let's do it. And but in order to build the business, to sell it, like we first needed to actually build a business that someone would actually want. And the first people who we needed it to want, who we needed for the business to want was us. And it was like that was like the first moment that we actually started treating this cleaning business like an actual business that could be sellable. And so that was the first time that I ever saw the thing fall apart. And then the second time was when Aliyah had taken over as the manager from Katie, and she was in in Cyprus, and yeah, we had a mass exodus of cleaners. We had 9 cleaners who quit within 2 weeks, and yeah, that was the second time that I saw it happen. That was in beginning of 2024, so that was yeah about a year, about 15 months ago. And yeah, then I saw Aliyah just get to work, just hire, and she ended up hiring I don't know how many cleaners that we hired, but more than 9, more than 9 cleaners, and watched the business get through that hurdle, and then yeah, and then now in Mesa, I thought about this. Man, it's probably been about a month or two ago. I was just like, you know what? We haven't really had a mass exodus yet in this Mesa location.
Stop thinking.
Yeah, stop thinking, and yeah, well, now we're having it. We're having it. So, yeah, I think I don't know the math anymore. I think it's
I
over
just
10.
looked. We have
What is it?
lost 13 cleaners in the last 5 weeks.
Yeah, it's crazy. 13 cleaners. So yeah, so definitely feeling it. It feels like every single day that someone's dropping off, and it's hard to keep up. It's hard to keep up as with the attrition of the cleaners. We're falling off, but somehow, despite despite all that, like the business revenue continues to grow. Um, but the people who can service these clients is dwindling, and yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy to be a part of it. Yeah, actually to experience it and like have have the feelings associated with having certain people who you hired and you poured into, and you just leave, and it's okay. It's just at the end of the day, it's like it's what's in their best interest, and we weren't able to make this job their best in their best interest, and so that's the learning lesson in this very moment is like how do we make this so it really is in their best interest to be here versus going somewhere else. And one of the things that is a common theme is like when you change management, when you have a turnover from like who their boss is, and that's where you're going to start to get a lot of people who are leaving because like the person who hired them is no longer who who's no longer there. And while Katie and I are still here, but we're not we're not in the group chats. We're not talking to the clients. We're not helping the cleaners out. And so yeah, that's also something that I have accepted. And so now we have to basically have our 2 office girls now, like they have to get their people, just like Aliyah when she was in Bozeman, she had to go get her people that only knew her, that didn't know who Katie was. And So that's the transition we're making here in Mesa is that we're getting cleaners who don't know who Logan and Katie are, and they go to Megan and Kazaya for day problems. So, but yeah, despite all that, this business is going to hit a PR this month. So, should we figure out what that PR is going to be?
Do it.
Should we figure what it's going to be? Yeah. And when it comes to like leading group chats, Ken and I just had this conversation today. Um, you you really just need somebody who is going to be responsible for um, yeah, someone who's responsible for the cleaners. Like if you're gonna lead group chats, then someone's got to be held responsible. And so Alaya is that person in Bozeman, and she'll, I don't know, and we haven't had this conversation yet, but most likely she'll be that person in Mesa moving forward as well. Just because that's what her that's kind of the role that she has she just started doing. And funny thing, another thing we talked about on our meeting. So Kate and I have a 1 hour meeting every single week, and it's like business meeting, it's finance meeting, and it's also marriage meeting. It's all in one. So we used to do them all three separate, and now we just do them all at the same time. But we do business first, and then we do finances, and then we do our family meeting, I guess you'd call it. And so part of that part of that first part of that meeting was talking about how like one of the cool things that Alaya has done is that she just always has just done the role. Like she doesn't ask for permission. We don't have to tell her. She just like takes things on. She's like, let me just go do this. And yeah, it's like she is basically forced. She has forced her way into where she is because she just does it. And then after she does it, then we're like, oh yeah, cool. Now you can have the title, and here you go. Here's the responsibility now. Now that you're just taking it on. And so one of our other one of our other office girls, she now that she's starting to see, now she's like gets to work with Alaya. She's starting to see it now. She's starting to mimic Alaya. Now she's starting to like just take on responsibilities without being asked. She's just doing things. And one of those things that she did this morning was the team meeting. She just was like she did the slides unprompted, and then Katie was like, "What do you think about just doing the slides that you did?" And she's like, "Sure." And the next thing you know, she just did the whole freaking thing. And so I just think that is really the goal, is to be able to copy people who you want to like imitation is what's the saying, like imitation is a form of flattery. And so like having somebody in your life who you want to be like is, man, it's so underrated. It's so underrated, and it's the value of this community. In all fairness, it's being around other cleaning business owners who you want to be around, and trying to be like them and trying to like mimic the things that they do. Like you should, like if somebody has what you want, then like you should try to think like they think. You should try to feel like they feel, and you try to do what they do. Because the more that you can mimic those things, then you could also maybe mimic the results, and they have the result you're looking for. So like copy, copy. Right? And yeah, just kind of funny thing about it too, from a standpoint of copying, because like in school, how many of you guys went to school? How many of you guys went to high school, grade school, right? Middle school. In school, you get in trouble for copying, right? You're in trouble. You're a troublemaker. You're a cheater. But like in the business world, you get paid very, very well for copying and not trying to be a hero, and not trying to believe you're smarter than the person who already has proven that they have the answers. And it was just funny because this morning I was just thinking about, man, just doing lots of thinking, which sometimes that can get me into trouble. Sometimes too much thinking get me in trouble. But I was also just thinking back to college. So I went to college for exercise science, and the problem with exercise science is that it's really only useful if you go to grad school. Okay. Well, my grades were not good enough to go to grad school, and so I didn't realize that until I had like spent 5 years in school and like worked hard just to barely get by, to realize that like my degree was basically pointless. And so then I started looking for jobs, and I realized that like just a exercise science degree wasn't good enough, like because people wanted experience, people wanted things that I didn't have. And so I started applying for jobs, and I really wanted to work in the gym setting. I didn't care where, I just wanted to be somewhere in a gym setting. So I applied for like front desk positions at gyms. I applied for personal trainer positions. I applied for like cleaner positions. Like when I say cleaner, I mean like the person who goes around and like cleans equipment and things like that. Um, and I never ever received any callbacks for any of those applications. And it was like it was very humbling because like it's about to have a degree. I worked out. Like I felt very comfortable in that setting, but yeah, just no one gave me an opportunity. And so realizing that I was about to have a degree and literally no freaking job, I was like, I gotta do something. I gotta do something. And so getting paid to work wasn't working. So I remember Googling personal trainers in Bozeman, Montana, and there was a gym that popped up, and it had the bios of all the personal trainers and actually had their contact information on there. I was like, oh, baller. And I emailed every single personal trainer that I could find contact info on, and I asked them one thing: Can I just shadow you? That's all I wanted. Just like I just want to like learn like how do I get in the door? That was my whole goal. It's like how do I just like learn what you guys are doing? And it was like 2 weeks later, and no one had responded. And so again, I was like, damn it! Like still nobody's giving me a call back or a response back. And then this one guy named Sean, he replied back, and yeah, Sean was actually the strength conditioning coach for the local high school, along with he had been a personal trainer for about a decade, and he agreed to let me shadow him, to let me be his little helper. Um, and I worked for Sean for 6 months. For 6 months, and I got paid $0. And I just remember going and I worked with him. I worked with him every single day, like every single day. I worked for him, and I remember going to work, and I had a roommate, um, and I remember him always saying, "He's like, hey Manzo," because that's what my nickname was in college, Manzo. It's like, "Hey Manzo, you going to that job that you don't get paid for again?" Oh my god, I used to get so pissed off. I'm just like, it used to really piss me off. And and then in July, a personal training job actually came open at the biggest gym in town. It was at the same gym that Sean had worked for, and he told me I should apply, and so I did. And I also had a couple of friends who also applied, who were my classmates, and like they were like smart kids. They were the smart kids. They're the ones who sat up front. They're the ones who like the teachers actually knew who they were. And I was like, oh my god, like I'm not gonna get the job over these guys. Um, but I did. I did. And looking back on it, the reason why I got the job is because Sean, number one, recommended me, right? That relationship, so powerful. But number two, like the guy who was hiring, like he saw me working for 6 months at his gym, not getting paid, like every freaking day. I was just telling somebody else this earlier today. Like, like I'm a pretty good employee. Like, like I don't I didn't understand what the word call out was until we started this cleaning business. And I still didn't understand it was until it was about 3 years in. I just was like, this call out thing is not real. Like this is not a real thing. Like it just was not part of my perception or my perspective of life. Like I didn't like I never have ever not shown up to work. Never once. I've never got fired ever. And so I just was so confused by this whole thing. Um, but so yeah, so like I was a good employee and I worked for free for 6 months, and this guy was like, I'll give you an opportunity. Right. And so um I think what I learned in that moment, which what I learned now looking back on, which I didn't know back then, was the power in like working to learn versus working to earn. And now it's just like it's just everywhere. Like I can't unsee it. I can't unsee this. And that was 2011. So this is now 14 years later. And so it's taken some time for me to continue to get clarity on working to learn versus working to earn. But now it's more evident than ever. And that's the reason why like someone like I'm so attracted to her work ethic is because she 100% works to learn. She 100% works just to serve. There's like another element that she's like, she just works to serve. Like her third priority is earning. And the irony is that like she's like she makes good money now, but like in the next couple years, like she's gonna make insane money. And it's because she has her priorities straight. The longer that you can work to learn, the bigger you can earn. And it's the biggest mistake I see people make is that they got to get paid today. And so they can't ever work to learn. They can't actually get the asset that is required. And the longer you can do something without getting paid, the more you can understand it. The more you can understand something, the more clarity you get, then the faster you can move. But it takes time for you to get clarity and to understand and how to understand all the pieces work. And and the reason why that's really top of mind as of right now is because after 55 weeks of starting Mesa 5-star cleaning today, this week, Katie and I are finally going to get paid from that location. Katie just sent me the QuickBooks workforce thing. I'm like, okay, getting on payroll, getting on payroll. And we worked for 55 weeks without getting paid a single dollar. And it just was one of those reminders. I keep looking back, and there's like so many moments in my life where I've just worked to learn. And like now, like we make we make more money now in a month than like I ever would have thought we could make in a year. But it came at a price. And I think that that price, like, isn't a price most people are willing to pay. And so the goal is the longer that you can work to learn, it just gives you the opportunity to earn more money. So let's talk about this location here that now is finally going to pay us. It's going to pay us some monies. I'll share my screen here. We'll show you guys the data. Okay. Can you see the screen, Kenny? Perfect. So projected monthly revenue, $72,500. So that's going to be what we finish March out with. Last 30 days revenue, 72,318. Next 30 days revenue, 61,922. Trailing 12 months revenue is 540,000. And then current monthly revenue, this was as of Friday, was 68,000. And then last week we did $17,054. So it looks like this sheet actually wasn't updated correctly, but I think the week before that we actually did 19,000. Yeah. So, um, oops. Yeah. So this week we did 17,000. Last week we did 19. And then Katie, what was on the books for this week?
I think this week was over 20.
Yeah. So, yeah. So the thing is the clients are now there. The clients are now there. Now the cleaners need to be there as well. And so it's just funny how fast this business changes. Like you can go from not having enough clients to not having enough cleaners, and then it can go right back. And so it really is just being able to manage that game of like clients and cleaners, and it's always a dance. It's always a dance going back and forth. But yeah, so I I would say that on paper we have both a really good and a really outside chance of maybe hitting $83,000 this month. Um, we'll see how fast we can recruit cleaners. That's what the bottleneck is going to be. Is like how quickly can we recruit, onboard, train, get them up to speed, And that will determine whether we can turn this $72,000 into $83,000 next month. Is just how quick we can move, and we'll find out. We'll find out. Total recurring clients, we're at 165. So you can see we're kind of last week we were at 166. So, and then but the week before that we were like 157. So we had a good little surge, and then hovering again. We had 73 cleans last week at an average of 234 clean, and 12 cleaners. But you'll see as we get down below, we actually had two cleaners, actually three cleaners, who were no longer on the team. So they're falling off faster than we can bring them in. Our cleaners worked, a will like this, 31 hours last week on average. And then we did 340 assigned cleaning hours. So you can see the last couple of weeks, we went from 22, 21 cleaning, average assigned cleaning hours, 21, 28, and 31. And this week it'll probably be just as high again. So, Zen made, yep, 68,000, $17,000 is the weekly revenue. The breakdown is literally like half and half. So 8,000 was initial clean, and then 8,000 was reoccurring. So again, great job on the initial cleans. Reoccurring is, yeah, starting to struggle a little bit. Outstanding invoices from QuickBooks. We have less than 7 days is 7,400, and then greater than 7 days is 738. Discounts, $361 in discounts. So it looks like we had some correction cleans. We had 5 correction cleans. It's crazy. A couple homepage vouchers, and then we had a cleaning for a reason. So cool thing about this, about cleaning for a reason, if you guys are unfamiliar with what cleaning for a reason is, it's a program where we give cancer patients free cleans, right? And so with our first location in Bozeman, we actually are part of the cleaning for a reason. But in Mesa, like we just decided just to do it. So instead of having to pay someone, I don't know what it costs, 25 or 50 bucks a month to be part of this program, we're just like, if you're a cancer patient, we will freaking clean your home for free. So we bucked the system. We're rule breakers, I guess. But this Sam Helms was a cleaning for a reason. And so we just comp this clean, but the cleaner gets paid just normally for it. And the cool thing is that we actually have one of our cleaners actually went through cancer as like a 16-year-old girl herself. And she was the one who got to do this clean. And yeah, so like it's something that is cool for her to be able to give back. You know, she is somebody who handled this and dealt with it, and obviously survived, and now she gets to give back to people who were in a similar situation as she was. So that's it's a cool little story, or a cool reason that we gave away $171 last week was for clean for a reason. We only sent one text message last week, so it's like cancel before first clean, and cleans done did not convert. Those were the 2 lists that we sent to. And marketing last week, we spent $367 on Google, and we spent $1,500 on Facebook, so $1,900 total. We got 68 Facebook leads, 2 Facebook Messenger leads, 2 missed calls, 7 Google service leads, 16 homepage leads. Dang. 20 incoming call leads. Total of 115 total leads. That's $16.80 a lead. So it's not too shabby. Not too shabby, not too shabby. Number of spots open, 6 last week and then 10 this week. So what's the constraint, Katie? What's the constraint?
For sure, cleaners. I think this week now we have -10.
Yeah. Yeah, we keep on losing spots. So yeah, so we might actually see our revenue drop. So it's kind of funny because you're like, oh, you start the week out with 20,000, but there's a really high probability that revenue is going to drop because we don't have the cleaners who can fulfill it.
But we do have, this is where like creating a structure of having an additional office person, Alaya, be able to come in and step in. We have somebody at least able to go and fulfill cleans who's in the office. And
Yeah.
for a short period of time until we get people trained up to fulfill, we might have
Yeah.
to send the office out.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, so we had 4 people in the office last week, and so Emma's only in there on Monday, Tuesdays. And then because I and Megan are full time, and so this is definitely a PR. Made 1,000 phone calls last week, so it's kind of nutty. 71 calls answered, also nutty. 7 missed calls, also nutty. 23 scheduled quote calls, 10 showed. So, yeah, not a great show rate, but we had 61 quotes performed, which means we created 51 opportunities. Pretty nutty. And then we closed 42 people. It's kind of a shitty week, isn't it, Katie? Yeah. So, I think one of the cool parts, oh yeah, and projected quote revenue is $15,000. So, you know, one of the cool things about being high, one of the like the benefits around being high performers is that like your standards just change. And so like when you're around somebody who has high standards, like you either elevate your standards or you leave the situation because you're like, I can't handle this. And most people they leave. They leave. Um, for the people who stay, they get the benefit. They're the one who gets to actually become better. They get to improve their standards, which can be a standard can be anything. It could be a standard of thinking. It could be a standard of doing. It could be a standard of money. It could be a standard of living. Um, you know, and so I think one of the things that again with I think with every pro there's always a con. With every positive thing there's a negative thing. And so Kitty, I want to like use you as an example. How many of you guys would like to live with me? How many of you guys would actually like to have me be in your lives every moment of your life?
Nobody raises their hand.
You don't. You really don't. Like, and so Katie has, and that's why I have so much respect for her, is that she has like we have both elevated our standards. And for a long time, like I was definitely the the leader, right? But as of recently, like Katie actually now is a leader as well. Like she actually pushes me. Like she actually pushes me to get better. And I think that like I think it's the reason why like I've always had like a coach inside of me is because I just always wanted somebody to like believe in me more than I believe in myself. And I never did. And because that's what I wanted, then that's what I would project onto others. And so Katie was the one who allowed me to figure it out, to figure out that I couldn't want it more for other people than I wanted for myself. And for all the things, for like all the all the things that I wanted others to do, just like I realized that it was me getting coached in what I needed to do. And so after 11 years that he and I've been together, like we are both like different humans than we were 11 years ago. Like Kate and I had this conversation. I was like, I would not date the same Katie from 11 years ago today. Like my standards are way too high. And I think that is the best compliment I could ever give to Katie is that like her standards of what she will accept in life are higher. And because of that, like it also forces me to become better. And I said this to both her and Alaya this weekend. I just like am like I'm very much inspired by like their growth to want to continue to grow. Like like my desire to push is a direct reflection of like how much I see them pushing. And I remember the first time that I ever saw Alaya make like 20 sales in a week. I was like, holy shit, that's crazy. And then all of a sudden she made 30 sales in a week. And I was like, oh my God, that's crazy. Like, like she broke the beliefs on like what was possible from a standard of sales. I was like, I like we had never made 30 sales in a week in any business I'd ever done. I was like, that's just wild to me. And then when Katie and I started Mesa, I was like, okay, like Elias set the standard. We got to figure out how to make 20 or 30 sales. And yeah, for the first 3 months, it was like 10 sales. And it took me 30 tries to do it. Right. And then eventually I got to like 15 sales, still 30 tries. And then eventually I made 20 sales and still 30 tries. I got a little bit more efficient. And then I remember the first week that I ever made like 30 sales by myself. And I was like, holy shit, I can do this now. And I never would have believed that. That never would have been the standard if it wasn't for Alaya. And then you know what's crazy? Then Katie comes back behind that, and then she makes 30 sales in a week. And I was like, holy shit. And then now, like, there's weeks where Kazia's made 30 sales and Megan's made 20 something sales. And then as a team, like 30 to 40 sales is very common. And last week we made 61 sales, which is by far the most we've ever had. So like that's the new standard. And I think like that's just the value of being around people with high standards is that their willingness to accept mediocrity is just they just don't have an acceptance for it. And that's awesome. And like while at the same time, when you're mediocre, you're like, oh, it can feel defeating. And so again, that's where I have a lot of respect for Katie is because she stayed in it. She didn't leave. She stayed in the pain. She stayed in the uncomfortable. Now she gets the benefit and I get the benefit from it as well. But it all came from a place of pain and discomfort for years, many, many years. Um, we had 7 conversions last week and $3,000 of new recurring money. Holy crap. Great job. It's the first time I've seen that. So it's really cool to see. Um, we had 73 cleans, 20 were new, 53 were reoccurring. We had 5 correction cleans, 165 reoccurring clients, 87 occasional clients, 7 conversions, 35% conversion, 7 Google reviews this week, and then 444. So that's actually cool as well to see, closing in that 450 mark. Canceled recurring clients, looks like we had 4 canceled for a total of 956. And then we added 7 and total of 3237. So looks like we netted about $2,000, which is cool to see. So I think this is a number we started paying attention to a bit closer of like, what do we actually net? So while you know, number of total recurring clients is definitely important. It's the projected monthly revenue for each of those recurring clients. Like there's a big difference between a recurring client, like let's see if we have one here. Um, like Diana Bianchini, where she's paying 460 a month versus someone like Melissa, she's paying 212. So she's literally double the value of Melissa, but they're both a one. They both are individually a recurring client, but one person pays twice as much as the other person. Katie, do you see this name right here? It's kind of funny.
Mhm. Close.
Close. Yeah. So in our first location, um, our very one of our very first clients, her name was Susan Bianchini. We used to talk a lot about her when we first started sharing the story of Bozeman. But she was a client that I sold, and she was the first client that Katie wanted to also fire. And so Susan Bianchini has a great story. Um, she's an amazing human being, but she adopts kids. Is it from Ethiopia, Katie?
I can't remember where from. Eli might know, but
Haiti.
80.
Haiti, from Haiti, yeah. And so she adopts these kids, and unfortunately, they just don't have a lot of respect. And so the house is like very dirty, like they don't clean up at all after her or after themselves, excuse me. And like it's like the house is pretty gross. Like again, Katie and Eli could probably give you little bit more details on the type of stuff. But let's just say that Katie wanted to fire her, and like every single cleaner who ever went to her house, like tried to fire her as well. Like everybody, like not nobody wanted to go to her house. And I was like, nope, we're not firing Susan Bianchini. Like she needs us. She needs us. Um, but yeah, she was one of our very first clients. She's like post on her Facebook, like on her Facebook ads. She would go and comment on them. She's like, I love these guys, yada yada yada. Like, man, just an amazing person, right? And so when I see this name right here, just it always makes me think of Susan. So canceled clients for the week. We had $2,500 in canceled cleans during the week. Looks like we did charge one person. We charged Jerry Parker here, the cancellation fee. Outside of that, that she was the only one who we charged. And then cleaner acquisition, we spent 276 on Indeed, 19 applicants, 5 phone interviews, 4 phone interviews performed, 6 Zoom interviews scheduled, 2 performed, and 1 hired. So Elizabeth and Jessica are in training right now. So Jessica's on her second week, and Elizabeth just started today. And then, yeah, we had Tiffany, Christy, Nikki, and Trinity just quit this morning. So 3 people, and both Tiffany and Nikki were trainers, so that's exciting as well. But look at this, Alyssa last week. Holy crap, Alyssa worked 40 hours last week. Insane. Emma worked 35. Sage worked 36. Sierra worked 35. Ashley 26. Dakota 33. Haley 25. Josie 24. And then the trainees, Michaela and Trinity 31. And then Jessica worked 30 hours. So pretty crazy, pretty crazy, pretty crazy. Those some big hours. So again, 31 hours between on average for all the cleaners, which is pretty big, which is pretty big. Actual man hour is $50 a man hour. We had 5 correction cleans. Yeah,
I love to see that we actually went back for correction cleans on 4 of them, 5 of them.
yeah,
I think there's 6 correction cleans here.
cool,
Or I guess we went back to 5. One we just discounted.
cool.
Super cool to see.
Yep. And then one-on-ones, we had one-on-ones with Haley and Josie last week. And that's it. And that's it. That's it. So yeah, it's cool. Like we actually, so again, it just changes so fast. And I think that's why you always got to be prepared for both sides of the equation. It's like that's why this is really like you got to have a cleaner funnel, you got to have a client funnel. If you want to predictably grow, you got to have those 2 things. And so this thing, this thing is going to get turned up. So Katie, you want to share the strategy for how do we get more cleaners? How do we have more cleaners come on and stay than we have cleaners who leave?
Yeah, so a few weeks ago, I mean, this is not the first cycle that we've ever experienced this in Bozeman, but a few weeks ago we experienced some cleaners leaving as well. And we were like, let's look at the client funnel. Let's break down this client funnel. Like right now, the minute that somebody opts in, we call them. Let's look at the cleaner funnel. The minute that somebody opts in, they get sent an application that they have to fill out. Once they fill out the application, then they schedule a phone call. Then we call them. I was like, that's so much time delayed. Like we need to make it easier for these people to actually get an interview scheduled. So we started implementing speed to cleaner prospect about 2 weeks ago in Bozeman. And it was really rocky at first because we just would drill these people with questions and they were caught off guard. Like, why are you calling me? So we changed the process a little bit last week to open um, as just like, we saw that you wanted to work for us. Like, what has you interested? Are you still interested? And then essentially setting them to a Zoom interview. But speed to prospect, we've been able to connect and increase our phone interviews pretty drastically in Bozeman. So we're going to introduce that to Mesa this week to see if we can hedge the pain that we're feeling with lack of cleaners in Mesa as well.
I think that's like a really good way to present it like that. Like that first phone call becomes a set, and then we're setting for the Zoom interview, which is a familiar sales process. Like that's actually where the whole thing came from, was a sales process of a set close. And I really like that. So like we're just calling people and we're setting them up, and as long as they meet the minimum qualifications, then we're actually going to put them into into an actual Zoom interview.
And I think we just tell them that, like on the phone call, like we just got to make
Yeah,
sure that you meet the minimum qualifications, and then we'll get you scheduled for a Zoom interview if you're still interested.
yeah, it's actually really good. It's actually really good. It's awesome. Yeah. So so all these phone calls now, like if you think so, like if you look at the work, so if you have 1,000, if you made 1,000 phone calls and now you have no spots to fill, it's not like now, like instead of calling prospects, now we just call applicants. Like it just changes. And that's why, and this is okay. So this is what I have observed be the biggest problem when home cleaning businesses have specialized roles. They have a salesperson, they have a recruiter, they have just a customer support person. Like they have specialty roles. Like this is why, in our experience, we have discovered this from making this mistake ourselves many times. Why it's silly. It's silly because one week you're going to need the attention to be on cleaners like it is this week. But then eventually you bring enough cleaners in, the attention needs to go back to getting more clients while at the same time continuing to still bring in new cleaners. And therein lies the challenge of having just a salesperson. If that salesperson can only sell, then right now, what do? When you have zero spots, when you have negative 10 spots on the calendar, what do? Sell for next week? Sure, fine. That's it. So like this week, they're not valuable. You know how they become valuable is if they can sell cleaners on taking a job that you can then fill their schedules. And then going back and filling their schedules. That's how they become more valuable. And so when it comes to the office staff, it's the reason why like having your office staff, having them be generalists and them being able to have multiple skill sets makes them more valuable. If they're just really good at sales, but they can't do anything else, I mean, yes, they're valuable in sales, but they're not as valuable as they could be if they also understood recruiting, if they also could handle customer support, if they also could um, do all the other duties that the office needs to get done in order for the business to function. What else,
So
buddy?
good.
What else?
Yeah, I think that it's a good experience for Keziah and Megan. When they came into the office, had we had always been overhiring because I would much rather be in a situation where we have an opportunity to fill schedules for tomorrow with clients rather than having to reschedule clients for tomorrow's schedule because we don't have a cleaner to fulfill it. I have personally felt both sides of this equation, and I would much rather be overstaffed than understaffed. And this is their first experience feeling the understaffed side of things, which I think is good. This is how we learn. This is
Yeah,
how we figure out which position we'd rather be in and why it is so important to always be onboarding somebody every single week and always be having somebody, 1 to 2 people in the pipeline at any given time. Because in order to have a quality team, you first have to start with quantity and then you let the quality rise to the top. And ironically enough, sometimes you think that you have quality at the top and you don't give the lower cleaners an opportunity until the quality at the top ends up leaving. Now, our top cleaners, I'm like, we almost miss these people. Like the ones that have risen to the top due to this mass exodus, I'm like, these guys are freaking awesome. Like now we get to give them an opportunity to become trainers, to learn a new skill, to continue to elevate within the company. So super excited about the opportunity that Keziah and Megan get to experience with an exodus.
yeah. I think that from a like as you look at as you like one of the reasons that I have a lot of confidence in Eli is because I've seen her have to face tough challenges, and I've seen how she's responded during tough challenges, and like that's why I feel confident in her because I've seen how she's responded, and so until someone has experienced a challenge and they've gone through a tough time, like you don't really know how they're going to respond. It's easy to be happy and joyous and like do the right things when things are going good, but it's when things don't go as planned. It's when things go unexpected, how people respond. Like that's who you're actually getting. Like, is that the person? Is that the person who you trust to run your business, to run your location? And so as we look at Megan Kazai in the situation of like, let's see how you guys are going to do. Let's see how you're going to do. And so yeah, so at that point, it's good. It's good. It's good for like that's the positive side to look at. Is like we'll see how you guys can handle this, and see how you respond to the pressure, how you respond to things going unexpected. Because either they grow up or they grow out. They're like, this is too hard. I can't do this, or like they rise to the occasion and like I can do this. And then when you see them, when you're able to see them do it, then you're like, okay, I feel confident in you. Like I see you now potentially being able to actually run a location. I see you as being able to own the responsibility of a location.
The coolest part is we have a system and a process that freaking works. Like it's proven. We know it works. You guys have all used it.
Yeah.
Like that's the coolest part. I'm just like, just
Yeah.
don't ever stop working the system. And at times we need to just work the system harder.
Yeah. Yeah. We talked about this before this call, and ordinary ordinary actions when things get hard is to retreat. It's to like go backwards. It's to settle. It's to like, okay, like we're just gonna do a little bit worse this month, and I'm gonna be okay with that. And I was telling Katie, I was like, we gotta go faster. Like we gotta get this thing to 83K this month. So that means we gotta have two cleaners, at least two cleaners in training every single freaking day, which means we're gonna start onboarding on other days and Fridays. Because right now all we do is onboard on Fridays, but like we gotta onboard quick. So like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, whatever day we need to onboard, we got to get cleaners in. And we got to go faster. We got to go faster. We got to turn ad spend up for cleaners. I'm going to turn ad spend up for clients as well. Like we're going to go. Like, and so the opposite of doing what the ordinary does is like you go faster. You do more work. And I really believe that that's the only reason that we got to here right now. Like, if you guys think that getting to $70,000 in 12 months, if you think that came from that we were retreating every time things got hard, like that's another message that I want to get across is anytime that we've experienced any resistance, we have pushed harder. We haven't got pushed backwards. And this is just the next level. And if you want to grow to 70,000, 80,000, 90,000, $100,000 a month, like you have to push harder. You're going to get more resistance. The resistance just gets bigger. You got to get stronger. It's just more. Like more, more is the answer. Volume is the answer. Quantity is the answer. And so most people want the answer to be a trick, magic. The magic is in how do you do more? You get better. That's how you just get better. You get stronger. Cool. All right, Kitty, anything else you got?
No, that's it.
That's it. All right. Well, appreciate you guys for showing up today. Happy last day of March. Look forward to seeing some people post their PRs in the group. Hopefully we get some snazzy PRs this month. And just as a reminder, like when things don't feel very good, when things feel like it could fall apart, when you start to feel resistance, like that means you're growing. Like it's a reframe. It's like if you want to grow, then this is what growth feels like. If you want people to tell you no, you're going too fast, that you can't do this, that's not possible, whatever the excuses most people make, like that's good. You need more of that. That's how you know you're doing things right. So thank you guys for showing up today. Thank you guys for caring about your businesses and wanting to grow. And yeah, next week we'll be back. We'll see if we have any more cleaners. We'll see if we have any cleaners left. 13 cleaners in 5 weeks. Let's see if we can hire 13 cleaners in a week. Let's see if we can break break a record here. Let's see if we can do something crazy. Yes. Thank you guys for showing up today. And again, just hopefully the real goal is to help you guys understand that this game is challenging. It's not easy. And even when you guys see, like, you guys see the end-to-end result in March of 2024, we did, I think, $3,000 or $4,000. No, $2,000. We did $2,000. And then this month we do 70,000. Like, it was very painful. Like, zero, I would call it zero fun, right? For most people would call it zero fun. I like it, but I also like a little bit of pain. I like a little bit of resistance. That's why I looked at the way I do. I like a little bit of resistance, right? I mean, like it's my feedback lets me know I'm doing something right. If you want to get a certain outcome, like you got to sacrifice. And so I think sacrifice also is it's a gift. It's a gift that not everybody has the opportunity to do. And so if you have the opportunity to sacrifice, like not everybody has that opportunity. So thank you guys. If you guys are in advisor, you guys want coaching, next call, we're going to do some sales calls to make sure that help you guys get those sales skills going so we can make 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 sales a freaking week. And then you can have problems like what we're having right now, not enough cleaners. So appreciate you guys. Happy Monday. See you guys in a little bit. Bye.
Bye.